To borrow a phrase from a fairly cringy Christian movie, DOD's not dead. What's going on, my friends? I'm Sean Pierce Johnson, and this is Stompbox Saturday. And this week we are celebrating because DOD is still here. It is going to be alive and thriving thanks in part to its purchase by Cor-Tek, aka the people who make a lot of guitars for a lot of people, but also Cort guitars, which was announced last year, and all of a sudden now the hullabaloo really starts to be getting going. The brand is relaunching with two pedals to start, one classic and one modern classic, in the form of the Overdrive Preamp 250 and the Rubberneck Analog Delay. Now, I must admit, getting this in my hands from Tom is my first real experience with an actual DOD 250. By the time I was starting to get into pedals, the reissues in the late 90s, early aughts were out, but the most prominent DOD Overdrive that I can remember was the Yngwie Malmsteen version, which from what I understand is supposed to be slightly tweaked. I don't know, I never got to play it. And of course, when the reissues happened back, say, 7 to 10 years ago, it was like, okay, where are they? Where can I actually plug in and hear these things? Well, we have the opportunity today. It still retains its classic format of two knobs for gain and level, a true bypass foot switch, that's a big pop, and a bright LED to let you know that this thing is on. And although it's not quite like school bus yellow like the original, I do like the brushed look of gold on the enclosure. It's got a little sparkle to it. It makes you know that this is something new. Now, with the idea in mind that this is my first experience with the 250, I figured what I'd show you is just what you can expect if you're like me. You've never played a 250 before, and you want to see what it can do for you. So let's check out the gain range of this thing and see what we can expect from the crunch tone that we get from it. I'm plugging into the Hughes & Kettner Black Spirit 200 for this one. Really feel like that amp and this pedal work really well together. Plugged into a really great clean guitar amplifier, this thing definitely veers over the border of overdrive and into distortion, which paired up with some single coils can add some beef for some Midwest emo kind of riffing. we have to do what most of the greats have done with this pedal, and that's running it into something that is slightly crunchy for either heavier rhythm tones or nice sustaining leads. With our look at the 250 Overdrive out of the way, we can get to what I'm most excited about, and that is the Rubberneck Analog Delay. Now, I love a good analog delay, and I've made no secret of that on the channel over the years. And when this thing came out, a bunch of my viewers got it and loved it so much, they were saying, dude, you gotta check this thing out. This is absolutely a pedal for you. It is awesome, blah, 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 blah. And the thing came and went, and was either delayed in production, out of stock at different stores, and just like with a regular 250, it was like, okay, where can I actually plug this thing in? Well, I get to plug it in right now here in my studio. Now, personally, I would classify the Rubberneck Delay alongside the likes of the MXR Carbon Copy and the Electro Harmonics Memory Man. Classic analog delays with a little bit more vibe to them than just being a dark and murky delay. You have the three typical controls that you would see on any analog delay for time, repeats, and level. Now, it goes into further tweakability with the addition of a rate and depth for the modulation added onto the echoes. But what I really like is that it has a gain control, which allows you to add on a little bit of grit and distortion to your echo repeats, and a tone control so that you can darken the repeats or you can make them just a little bit brighter. You have an on-off switch for trails, or tails as DOD likes to call it, in addition to a kill dry mode, which we're gonna leave the tails on because that's what I like. And then on the other side is a tap ratio selection, allowing you to go between quarter note, dotted eighth note, and eighth note subdivisions of your tap tempo. Now, the bypass foot switch and the tap tempo foot switch each have a secondary fun feature if you press and hold down on them. Pressing and holding down on the tap tempo foot switch is connected to this tiny little clear knob that also doubles as the tap tempo LED, labeled Regen Adjust. And this basically, you could have the repeats set here and then just turn up the regen all the way and you're getting that crazy self-oscillation thing that analog delays are so good at. Then on the effect on switch, the bypass foot switch, you have the Rubberneck rate. Now this is something that I think is really fun and a characteristic of the Rubberneck, is that you're able to set essentially two different delay times and then press and hold to swap between them, allowing you to get those funny little pitch bend artifacts that you can get from analog delays when you turn the delay time. It's something that maybe not always is gonna be so useful, but every once in a while you just need to have a little bit of fun and make sure your audience is really listening. Go ahead and use that. Despite the fact that it has 4 jacks on the top of the enclosure, it is a mono in, mono out. And if you got a problem with that, I can't help you. But the interesting parts are 2 of the jacks are for both an FX33 foot switch, which is sort of an external foot switch you can add onto it to control other features. But my favorite is a TRS jack for an effects loop that comes after your dry signal and before the repeats start getting added on top of your sound. So basically you can patch in any kind of pedal that you want and add that effect on top of your echo repeats. All right, I've talked about this thing enough. Let's actually hear it, starting with a setting that I would just basically call my go-to setting. Rubberneck ticks all the right boxes in terms of just a good, straightforward analog delay. I do feel like the modulation gets a little squirrely, so I always keep it on the more subtle side of things. Now, to wrap up our look at these two DOD pedals, I want to explore using that effects loop on the Rubberneck. You can basically use any Y cable splitter and patch in whatever pedals you want. You could go ahead and plug the 250 into it and really get some cool grit on top of your repeats. But I'm not looking to add distortion. I'm looking to add some other special effects. I experimented with phaser, harmonic tremolo, and those were really fun. But I think we need to do something a little bit freakier and a little bit cooler. So let's go ahead and patch in the Chase Bliss Generation Loss Mark II and go for some seriously lo-fi analog delay repeats. And there you have it, my friends, the two pedals that are bringing DOD back into the pedal world, the 250 and the Rubberneck Analog Delay. I really enjoyed getting to know the 250 in its purest form through this pedal. Now, I was introduced to a tangentially related circuit via Tom's Yellow Spiral Overdrive. To be able to just plug in with the two-knob version as close to that classic design as it can get, I was really happy to do so, and I love the quality that it brings to the overall crunch tone that it produces. Definitely adding some weight to some single coils, which can definitely come across a bit thin and weak at times, but add in a hefty dose of gain from it, make sure that you match up the level either unity or just above unity, and you're having a good time. But boy, oh boy, did I love the Rubberneck Delay. You guys that told me to check them out years ago were absolutely right. This is an absolutely stellar analog delay pedal. Thank you all so much for spending part of your day with me here on Stompbox Saturday. I greatly appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, please do click the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so that you don't miss any future videos. But you can get links to videos like this and others sent direct to your email inbox without the algorithm screwing things up. Just go to SeanPierceJohnson.com/email, enter your name and email address, and that's it. Links to videos like this are sent to you every time they go up. And some giveaways are going to be starting very, very soon, so stay tuned to your inbox. I will let you know all the details when they are ready. Until next time, my friends, I'm Sean Pierce Johnson, wishing you all watching great tone, great health, and of course, happy stomping. Cheers, friends. God bless.